My ex dumped me at my best friend's wedding 2 years ago, and now he's living next door with the woman he left me for, constantly asking me to keep quiet because their baby can't sleep. A bit of backstory. My ex-boyfriend Liam, 30 male, and I, 27 female, broke up 2 years ago, almost to the day of posting this. We had been together for 4.5 years and he broke up with me at my best friend's wedding in Greece after I had paid for our travel over there, oh yeah, and I was the maid of honor. Going back slightly further, one of my guy best friends needs to be mentioned. Let's call him Andy. Andy has been like a brother to me for many years. We are extremely close. And when I met him, he was dating this girl, let's call her Ruby, for upwards of 10 years. I never really had a friendship with Ruby until the end of 2021, when we all started hanging out and brought her a bit closer into our friend group. For context, Andy would always make it out like Ruby hated me and kept us fairly separated. Now, early 2022, Liam and Ruby started to become close. Andy and I could do nothing, nor felt like we had any validation to become jealous as he and I were thick as thieves. It didn't stop a rift forming between them and myself and Andy, however, and this quickly came to fruition when Ruby, who had a history of manic episodes, attempted to harm herself in mine and Liam's at the time, house and refused Andy's support. Over time, this would separate myself and Liam. He would take Ruby's side, and I would take Andy's. They were our respective friends. Over time, the amount of messages, phone calls that lasted hours, and time that Ruby spent over at our house began to bother me. I felt like I was losing Liam. Again, I should add some context. Liam in my relationship was filled with insecurity on my part and infidelity on his, and I still made the mistake in forgiving him and wanting to stay. Now, fast forward to my best friend's wedding in Greece. The week prior, we were staying with my best friend and her fiancé and having a blast. Myself and Liam's phones then ping, almost at the same time. It's a text from Andy to me, and a text from Ruby to Liam. They had broken up after a long and extremely trying couple of months where myself and Liam had been dragged into. We did our respective friend things and gave support from afar. Then came the evening of the wedding. It somehow got back to me that Liam had told the groom that he wasn't sure if he was clocked into our relationship anymore, and I confronted him. I had to do it there and then, as my insecurities and anxiety would have absolutely made it so I wasn't able to enjoy the rest of the night, and this is what I had spent over $2,000 in plane fares to get to. Liam then proceeded to tell me that he wanted to be single to work on himself, and a switch went off in my head. This was the best thing that could have happened. I don't deserve this treatment after I've been convinced this was my worth for the better part of 5 years. Again, important context for later. Liam had, not once in 4.5 years, told me he loved me. I didn't cry once when I told him that I respected his decision. But if it has anything to do with Ruby's newly single status, I would never forgive him. Liam assured me it had nothing to do with that. So, we finished the holiday as a couple, and agreed to attempt to cohabit in our house, which we both loved. It was also an agreement that, if the other did anything to make you uncomfortable, strong boundaries would be set. Well, 5 days after we got home from Greece, and we split the bedrooms, guess he was over and staying in his bed? If you guessed Ruby, have a cookie. Obviously, I was not happy with this and voiced my concerns. I was gaslit into thinking that they were just friends and there was nothing going on. Now, long story short, a week and a bit later, and Ruby had been at my house, even without myself or Liam there, for over 6 days. I was at the end of my rope and had it out with Liam, who proceeded to drive away from the house and threatened to unalive himself by driving off a cliff. Ruby, who I did my absolute hardest to stay civil with, then proceeded to attempt to OD, and it ended up with myself and Liam, after he returned, having to call both the police and ambulance to get her medical attention. I was a wreck, rightly so, as this was not the first, nor second, nor third time I'd had to call emergency services over Liam, Ruby, or the girl who Liam cheated on me with threatening and attempting to off herself in my house. I really know how to pick them, eh? Liam and I talked. It settled down, and I woke up to Ruby being back in my house. Liam had gone to pick her up after she was discharged and brought her back. I was enraged and told Liam in no uncertain terms that, if there is even the slightest chance of him getting with Ruby, to get the heck out of this house. He moved out 12 hours later. The entire situation had my mental health taking a nosedive off a cliff. I had been manipulated and gaslit into thinking the situation was fine, and I didn't feel like my house was even my house anymore. Every boundary that I had tried to put down, Liam and Ruby had trampled over, and made me feel like the bad guy. I was a shell of my former self. Fast forward 2 or so months. Due to us having a shared joint account for rent, expenses, and the tenancy changes, I had to keep in contact with Liam, but kept it as short as I can because I was still healing. After a heated argument about debts, which he thought we shared, even though he still owed me over $1,000 for the wedding trip, he told me that Ruby was pregnant and they were now together. Honestly, I wasn't even shocked. My main upset, however, was the fact that myself and Liam were never careful, and I always wanted kids. It was a kick in the teeth to me that they were able to get pregnant after the first or second time of being together, and it just proved to me in my mind that the problem was infertility on my part. Liam tried to stay friends, and I was stupid enough to make the attempt. Life moved on. I kept my distance as much as possible. The baby was born and I ceased contacting him. Ruby, who was my friend first, ceased all communication with me when I kicked Liam out. This was early 2023. Cut to earlier this year, where I had Liam's WhatsApp archive, and for some strange reason, felt like I needed to check my archive folder. I found a message from him from a few weeks back letting me know that, drumroll, he was moving into the house directly next to mine. As in, share a wall on entrance stairs next to mine. Now, while I understand that housing in my area is extremely hard to come by, and they were thinking of their newborn baby in their previous house with black mold and had to move out to any available housing, I was utterly shocked. Not only was my anonymity being taken away from me, their upstairs windows overlooked my garden, but I was now in close proximity to him, Ruby, and their newborn child. Since they moved in, a few choice things had happened. I tried to keep as civil as I could, but Liam's texting was incessant and I had to shut down a lot of attempts of hanging out, spending time together, and generally just being a close friend. I agreed to friends, not besties. He was easily able to separate me from being an ex, something I reminded him constantly I was unable to do. The trouble I'm having at the moment, they've lived next door for about 4 months now, is that I'm a single female who, even when I was with Liam, is a huge party house person. And by that, I mean I regularly have 2 to 4 people around my house, and often in the garden, to play cards, or have a glass of wine. I'm not a stay up until 4 a.m. with a boombox and a line of Coca Party House, but I regularly host my friends' hangouts. Ever since they moved in next door, I have gotten near constant reminders that I am being too loud and waking the newborn baby. After numerous times of me reminding Liam of knowing exactly who he moved in next to, and I wasn't about to stop because they made their bed, the constant hints and reminders that they can hear me is driving me nuts. I'm now miserable and constantly worried about being too loud. We are never excessively loud, and I follow Liam's request and let him know if I do have a huge party. Side note, I have only had one since they moved in, but the fact that my everyday actions are now tainted by the knowledge that my ex can hear everything is making me miserable. And the worst part is, he just doesn't get it. I've expressed to him that I feel like I have zero privacy from him anymore. He can hear me going up my stairs, when I'm outside, even when I'm singing in the bathroom, and it's knowledge of my comings and goings that I should have control over who knows or not. I feel terrible because the kid is innocent in this, and I do my best to quieten things down if it does go into the night, maybe 10 or 10:30 p.m. We live in a rural village, but I've gotten texts from him at 8:30 p.m., for example, asking to keep it down outside because his kid is trying to sleep. It's exhausting always having a constant reminder of my ex, and his baby which I always thought we would share, right under my nose. And neither Liam nor Ruby act like what they did to me even matters anymore. Just because I choose to be civil doesn't mean that you didn't hurt me badly. We had a conversation just before they moved in, where Ruby said she was understanding if I have negative feelings towards her, but that was basically the extent of it. A lot of my friends have said that I'm never going to win the battle against the noise in my own home, so why continue trying to accommodate them? But I at least want to be respectful. Honestly, I don't think they really deserve it, and I'm a beach, but not that much of a beach. I'm conflicted, as the kid is innocent in this, but I shouldn't have to change my entire life because of his baby, and maybe that makes me the jerk. But the kid has nothing to do with me. The reason I'm making this post now is because the noise issue came up again last night, even to the point where Liam, in a bid to make me feel even worse, mentioned that because mine and their bedroom share a wall, they always make a conscious effort to quieten the intimate noises because they don't want me hearing. It's because of me in my own garden that's waking your baby, but I am the reason that you have to shut up your intimate noises, is it? Okay, mate. Anyway, that's the life I'm currently living. I hope you enjoyed listening to my trauma. Apart from the truly terrible situation I find myself in with my ex, I love my life, and am extremely happy living with my baby brother, who moved into my house shortly after Liam moved out.